Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the latest episode of the Hard Compound Live. This is episode number 87, I believe, if you can believe that. For those of you who don't know, my name's Rich, and I run and operate the Hard Compound, a one-stop shop for all things motorsport on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And we cover all motorsports from F1 to touring cars to IndyCar, NASCAR, rallying, bikes, that's on the world stage and the UK stage, and everything in between as well. And we cover that in the form of race reviews, race previews, throwbacks, breaking news, driver announcements, livery reveals, all that good stuff that we all enjoy so much in the world of motorsport. So do give us a follow, search for the Hard Compound, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Give us a follow, hit that notification bell on Twitter. Add the Hard Compound to your hashtags on Instagram and all the other social media gubbins that goes on, so you don't miss out on any of the good stuff. We also do live interviews, such as this one, as you may have noticed. These go out as this one is on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Still trying to find something that does Instagram as well, but they all go out live. They're all automatically recorded and saved. They're saved in the live section on our YouTube channel and in the videos on our Facebook. I've had some fantastic guests from across the motorsport spectrum, from the world of single-seaters and sports cars. We've had the likes of Mr. Perry McCarthy, the Stig from Top Gear. Just recently, we've had Mr. Raul Boisel, who did at F1 and IndyCar, as did Mr. Roberto Guerrero. We spoke with Mark Surer. We've spoken with Nicholas Prost. That was excellent just a few weeks ago. We've also spoken with Carl Wendling, Mika Salo, Ari Leyendijk, Danny Sullivan, Willie T. Ribbs, Scott Pruitt, Alex Palou, Will Powell, St. James Alonso Jr., Derek Warwick, David Brabham, etc., etc., etc. But if you're tuning in tonight, you might be a fan of touring cars, tin tops, and the like. We've spoken with the likes of Dick Bennett from that world, and with the lovely Louise Goodman, media guru. Dan Rowbottom, Jason Plato, Rick Parfitt, Harry King, Michael Crease, Chris Smiley, Gabriele Tarquini, Frank Sittner, Matt Neal, Tom Coronel, Gravett, Soper, Muller, Reed, all those guys, they've all come on for a chat. So if you want to have a watch of those, please do. Right. I'm going to stop rambling. Do not go anywhere just yet, because we have another terrific live guest tonight. He's worked his way up through the UK motorsport ladder on the touring cars side. Incredibly talented young man. He's going to be the next big thing in British touring cars. I've been following him for a few years, as a great many of you have been. And he's going to make his BTCC debut with Accelerate Motorsport in the coming weeks. So without further ado, please join me in extending a very warm welcome to one of the brightest stars in UK motorsport, Mr. Ronan Pearson.
Hello, Rich.
There we are. Ronan, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. A bit out of breath from that rambling intro. Sorry to keep you waiting.
I wondered if we were ever going to get to it. It's a long list of names, and it's good to be a part of that now.
Yeah, the names keep getting longer, but it's great to have you on. Obviously, we like to have people on from across the motorsport spectrum. Obviously, you're relatively just getting fully started. But firstly, thank you very much for coming on this evening. We finally got around to it. We've had to juggle it around a couple of times. But it's great to have you on. Thank you. Sorry.
I'm a busy man now, I said. As are you. With
a man in demand. Yeah, these BTCC drivers, I don't know. But firstly, we have to say congratulations on getting the ride for this year. And with obviously such an upwardly mobile team and a very successful team. We'll come to it in full detail, but you must be very excited.
Oh, I absolutely cannot wait. I think kind of today is the first day that I can't contain my excitement. I'm kind of been keeping a lid on it for a little while. But yeah, I've been really excited today as things start ramping up. I just cannot wait to get behind that wheel now.
Yeah, I guess you're just kind of like bubbling. You're just sort of waiting to just get behind the wheel. I mean, does it feel kind of real yet? Because we know that this has been your target for a while. I mean, do you ever just sit at home and think, wow, I'm a BTCC driver.
Days like the announcement, that was pretty surreal. That just my phone crashed. It was just crazy, but in a nice way. It was so well received. A huge amount of exposure. My insights across all my social media platforms and stuff were tenfold what they were before. And
wow.
Like I said on my post that I put up after it, you can envisage how something's going to go, like in your own mind. But this was just incredible. It really was. And probably the next time I'll feel something like that is when I actually line up on the grid for the first race at round 1.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, I mean, it took a lot of people by surprise, and I don't mean that in a negative way, of course.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was, I think, so it was overwhelmingly positive. I mean, and I just think it's great to see that we've got a lot of new faces on the grid this year,
Mhm.
which is fantastic. And I'm not just saying this, but I think you joining the grid is probably the most exciting one. And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting in front of me.
Thank you for that. Yeah, no, you are right. I kind of feel that there's a bit of a new guard coming in. Younger drivers that are new to this discipline and stuff. So obviously, I'm part of the Jack Sears Trophy this year, and
Yeah.
there's quite a few of us rookies in there. So that's quite exciting. It's going to be new for us all, and it makes me feel little bit better that there's a few smaller fish in that large pond. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's nice to have some like fellow rookies in there.
Definitely.
If you're the only one, I guess there's more eyes on you. But anyway, it's absolutely fantastic to have you in the series, and we're going to come to it very shortly. But firstly, guys, to turn my attention to the comment section over there. Any questions? We've got a couple coming in already. Any questions or comments? Do put them in. I'll be glancing over this way, looking at the comment section, and we'll try and work them in as we go. Yeah, thank everyone for joining, and stick with us. Alan Moore, I think we know who he is. Right, we're going to come to him in a minute. Right, so before we go any sort of further, really, I'd like to sort of start kind of at the start. I mean, how did you? You're from a relatively small town in Scotland, up near Knockhill. There, fantastic part of the world. Where did your interest in motorsport come from?
At a really young age. I was going to touring cars since I was in a buggy. That's how long ago that was. Probably about 19, 20 years ago now. So
Wow.
way back, I've always loved anything with 4 wheels on a racetrack, basically. And obviously, some people may know my dad raced for a little while. Funnily enough, in a Scottish Mini Cooper in the Scottish Championship. So obviously that, pardon the pun, already I've dropped it in. That accelerated my love for motorsport. So
Well done.
yeah, early on. Sorry about that, everyone. But yeah, from a young age, with him doing that, I knew that that's what I wanted to do as well.
Right.
We often used to joke, me and my old man, who was better. But I think now we can kind of prove a point that it is me. But
Yeah, no contest anymore.
yeah, so that's really where it started, and not long after he stopped racing did I jump in a go-kart for the first time. So all the way back then.
Way back when, and I guess sort of the proximity to Knockhill helped. I mean, you had it's almost literally on your doorstep, and I guess, was it at Knockhill that you first went karting, or was it just nearby? I can't remember if
It
it was a car.
wasn't. It was just a rental car circuit, an indoor circuit in Kirkcaldy, where Mr. Butcher is from. So
Yes,
yeah,
I
not too
had a
far away
chat with
from me.
Rory at Media Day last year, and I'd been at Kirkcaldy. I'd been in Kirkcaldy 5 days earlier, and he looked at me as if I was an alien, as if to say, "What the hell were you doing there?"
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no offense, any viewers from Kirkcaldy.
It's got a lovely seafront. That's what I will
It
say
does.
about it.
It does.
Very nice. Well, I've got a few questions coming in. We'll come to those. But so, so you've gone karting. Obviously, you've got the bug from your dad. You've gone karting. When did you start thinking, let's really kick on with this, and maybe start looking at competing, perhaps, or something like that?
A good question. I think it was more probably my dad. He's referred to it before as he saw something. People that used to come and watch me saw that I was doing some really good things at a young age. So again, that helped make the decision to potentially put me into some competitions and join a championship and things like that. So that's obviously what we did up here for quite a few years. We didn't have any money, and it was a way of getting me my bum in a seat, basically, and behind the wheel of a car.
And excuse me. Obviously, you've got the support of the family. I think that was always going to be the case, which is a huge thing. Spoke with Mark Sura, ex-F1 driver, and his dad basically kicked him out because he said, "Right, if you've got the money to go racing, then you can move out
Yeah.
because it's a silly idea. So it's nice, basically.
Yeah.
So it's nice that you've obviously had that support from the start, and you entered, a few local like events first, and then obviously built up into championships and things. I have done my research, but there's not a lot about your karting going on. I mean, I'm gonna assume you had some success through the various karting ranks.
Well, I was just part of an arrive and drive championship at a place called Raceland that no longer exists. It was you turn up every time you went out, you'd be in a different kart. So you were driving a hell of a lot of different karts that were, some were good, some were bad. So that probably taught me a lot again at a young age, against all kind of children. What I was at that point, all children that were the same age. Started off racing on an indoor circuit, and eventually, once I was old enough and daft enough, I was able to go outside. So obviously, that's when I was then exposed to racing in the rain on slicks and things like that. But again, I reiterate, we had no money, no budget to do things like that, to go any higher with it. So it would take up a few Sundays, most Sundays of every month, and it was good fun. But yeah, again, it became apparent that I was obviously very good and it showed something. So we thought we would try and then get me into a junior, which is what we did.
Which leads me on to like the next sort of question. I mean, you mentioned about the budget. I mean, obviously this comes up in every chat we do. We all know that you can be the best driver in the world, but if you don't have the backing and the budget and things like that, there's lots of drivers who we'd love to see on the BTCC grid who, for one reason or another, can't make it or haven't made it. I mean, one that always comes up is Jack Goff. He's had success, but for one reason or another, he's missed the last couple of years. And how did you go about securing that backing to be able to make the step into cars? Because most chats we have, there's and then I met someone who put some money in or put you in touch with someone. Was that the case with you, or was it just a case of
yeah, relatively in the early days? Obviously budgets weren't huge, and the level of budget you needed wasn't as huge, nowhere near what it is now, probably potentially 10% of it. But it was all kind of done through contacts. I was still a kid in some people's eyes. So a lot of people wanted to just chuck in a few £100 here and there. We had some sponsors that would put in thousands and to help me obviously get on that ladder. Along the first couple of seasons, we did secure 2 title sponsors and things like that. But again, that was all contacts that we already had. So it was almost easier, if you like.
Sure. I guess, every year the cost seems to go up, doesn't it? But excuse me. Apologies. You went into the Junior Saloon Car Championship, which is a great proving ground, especially for youngsters who are aged 13, 14. I've got here that you got behind the wheel of a Citroen Saxo. Everyone's, certainly my age, everyone's favourite car that they wanted when they were.
Yeah, you're showing your age now.
I know. Well, this is as well. The hairline showing me age for me. But I mean, how did you go about sort of getting that car arranged? And when you got behind the wheel, was it a bit of an eye opener going from karts to cars, or was it not as bad as you thought?
Oh no, extremely difficult. The fact that you, at the age of 14, you're behind the wheel of a car and you're using a clutch, changing gears, and all these things. Bizarrely enough, I obviously work at Knockhill as an instructor, and it's gone full turn. I instruct people sometimes age 13 to 17 on the team drive. I once took part in a Knockhill team drive to help me learn about clutch control and changing gears and all these things. So yeah, again, we're really winding back the clock now, but that's quite a funny, tedious link. I had to do stuff like that, like a team drive at Knockhill, for example, to actually learn how to pull away, never mind do a race start. Another funny story is first ever race weekend, I had Paul O'Neill, of all people, sat beside me. He was my very first driver coach. We've got a really good relationship. To get on with Paul really well. And I broke my wrist because I was sat on the right-hand side of the car, went into Druids at Alton Park and forgot that the left-hand wheels of the car were on the grass. turned it in really quickly and binned it. So, it's all that stuff was tough to get used to. And I actually use stories like this when I'm coaching new people that are new to racing or new to driving. I use all my past experiences of what not to do, because when I'm sat in that passenger seat, I don't want my passenger side wheels on the grass.
No, you don't want to rumble. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I guess that's something that people don't maybe think of when you go from karts, which obviously you're in the middle, and the right hand side you go faster, left hand side you go slower, but it's the depth perception of the car as well, things like that I guess you have to learn. Which is a huge. But then to go from there straight into a race environment, I mean, did you have any expectations going into the year, or was it just a case of just
absolutely not? Yeah,
just get around,
just find your feet, and keep it on the black stuff as much as you can, and just learn.
Which is all you can do, I guess, in that first year. I mean, making that step up. But I mean, I guess you were happy with the way the year went. I mean, you came back for more, so you thought, there's nothing major happened to put you off doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. We destroyed a few front bumpers, ran over a few bits and pieces, like turn one at Rockingham, going straight through some of the cones. The good old Rockingham, used to love that place. Nothing put us off. And again, there was glimpses in my I can't remember if it was second or third race weekend. Maybe third race weekend, I ended up finishing fifth in what was a 25 car strong grid at that point. So already there was really positive glimpses.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive. I mean, to be that far up the grid, first time in cars in such a large field. Again, as you say, you're obviously showing something. You returned. You got on board with Westbourne Motorsport. I mean, I'm just going to drop them in there because they were kind of guys who got you started. It's obviously nice to get involved with the team, isn't it? And I guess that makes it a bit easier, whichever team it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. They were really well close knit family team, well run, with an in-house driver coach and things like that. So it was obviously they were multiple champions in the Saxos at that point, still are doing really well. And it was great to join a team like that and feed off of other drivers and their experience to help bring me on quicker so that my progression rate was a lot quicker than if you weren't part of a team.
Yeah, I guess having those people around it can only help. That second season, I got here 2017. Do correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, I guess it was all still about learning, as you said, from within the team. But you took your first podium at Snetterton. I've got here from my notes, which is a weird link to where you are now, Snetterton. But we'll come to that. That must have felt brilliant. I mean, getting the first podium, thinking, yes, I can do this. I can compete.
You're right. The first taste of silverware in a car, it's a drug. It keeps you going. You're addicted to success. You just always want to be on that podium. So yeah, you're right. It probably came at the right time because things were a little bit rough. It was a rocky road, and funnily enough, things like my dad had changed all the injectors in my car before that weekend because we knew we were going to a track that required straight line speed, and we'd been struggling with that all year because we didn't have, again, the budget to go and spend thousands on a proper built race engine. So yeah, it came at the right time, and like you say, just to get that first taste, it was cool.
Yeah, fantastic.
Obviously
they've got three layouts. I'm old enough to remember what I call the proper layout, which is the one where you just thump around the outside without the middle bit. When you had in that race, was it the full? Is it the 300 layout they call it? Isn't it? I mean, was it the full layout or
300 with all the infield? Any other configuration is just lazy.
That's me in my place, isn't it? But no, wow, it's a surprisingly tough circuit from what I've heard. That, but because it's quite flat, most of it. There's no undulation changes or anything like that. But it's a tough circuit, and to get a podium there, happy days. Was there a plan to stay in the junior, in the junior touring cars thing? That one, the JSCC, for another year, or was it a case of, right, we feel like we've done this, can we move up into something else at that point?
Yeah, absolutely. We wanted to move up. Again, more signs of potential and stuff like that. We always wanted, the sooner, once you're 16, you can race in any championship. with adults rather than being in a junior category. So we wanted to do that straight away.
And you had the opportunity to get into the into the Clios and everything, and I guess your confidence is up. You're moving up the ladder and things like that. Did you expect to take 5 podium finishes in your first season?
Again, no. That's where things were kind of starting to click. I'd never raced on slicks before, sequential gearbox Clio Cup car, and a really competitive field. And yeah, again, there was no expectation for that year, but the success that we had was huge. The qualifying lap record again at Rockingham, with fastest laps and numerous podiums elsewhere. It was a really, really good year, and again kept driving us forward to keep pursuing a dream, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just more on the mechanics of things. You mentioned about the sequential gearbox and stuff like that. I've never driven a car with one of them. Obviously, why would I? I'm not a racing driver, and I shouldn't be. But I mean, does it take a while to get used to? You sort of just push forward for up the box, pull back for down, rather than the, like the H-pan or whatever.
No, it was more actually. I was sitting in a left-hand drive Clio Cup car that was built in a factory in France. So
right.
The left-hand drive stuff took longer than something like the sequential gearbox.
Okay. I always find that whenever I'm abroad, I hire a car, go and change gear and punch the door. It's just annoying. It happens all the time. It's good. Obviously, there was no issue with that. You returned to the series in 2019. Were you aiming at the championship, having had the year under your belt? Were you aiming at a title challenge?
Yeah.
You said that you like to aim high and you get addicted to winning, and of course,
yeah.
You must have thought, come on, we can have this year.
Absolutely, yeah. Probably, I think I was one of the returning favourites as well. So you always look at that and think, well, I don't really feel pressure much myself, but you could say, oh, the pressure's on, the returning favourite, I'm expected to win this. But yeah, race wins and see where we ended up near the end of the year and try and win the championship was always the aim.
And it went quite well, didn't it, that year? I mean, it was almost, it seemed like you delivered the plan pretty much.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Again, with Westbourne Motorsport, it was such a good place to be at that point. And we had a hell of a lot of success and clinched the championship. So won, I think, 5 or 6 races back to back, which was also a real highlight for me. And it showed that I can do this. I'm obviously good at what I do. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a crucial year, a catalyst moving forward.
Yeah, which is excellent. I mean, obviously the following year, but we're going to touch on what happened in the following year, like in the global sense, not just in motorsport. And just to say, I just want to turn my attention just to the comments before we do that. Who have we got here? John O'Apps. Good evening, John. Defan Evans, Katie Eames, Nigel Stewart. All you guys, thank you for the questions already. Andy Hopley from Hopper's Motorsport Blogs. Evening, Andy. And Kevin Whitewood from BTCC chat. Mark Wagstaff, BTCC Blueprints. Hello, chaps. We are going to come to your questions very shortly. I can see them. We're going to work them in very shortly. Right. 2020. What was the thinking going from the Clios to Minis? I mean, my first thought on that was Toka package, with the Minis joining that package. And was that a big sort of pull for you?
Yeah, but that's what we wanted to do. That's what we'd had a sight set on for quite a while. But when we had first made that a plan, the Clio Cup that raced on the Toka package was still there because I raced the Gen 3 model, the Gen 4s were on the Toka package, and we wanted to progress up to that. They announced that it was going to be no longer, and then it was revealed that the Mini Challenge were replacing the Clio Cup. So again, it was still the same path, but obviously not keeping with the French route. We then chose to move to the JCW Mini Challenge.
Right. Okay. I mean, I've spoken with a couple of the Mini Challenge drivers. Some of your your ex-rivals now, I guess. Guy, we've had like Max Coates and Bradley Gravitt on here, and he's now at Accelerate as well. Ron Falconbridge as well, and they were saying that it was a slightly not cheaper, but was it like an easier car to sort of set up, and was it a cheaper car to buy than the Clio? I mean, they were hinting that it was a bit better. I was just wondering what kind of your thoughts were on that.
No, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. The mini challenge was because it was on the Toka package and stuff. It was always going to be. It was always going to require more budget, and the cars were more expensive as well. Actually,
okay. Maybe there was a crossed wires, or I was being told things to keep me quiet. Who knows? But obviously, you've got on board with the mini challenge. We've said we're not going to mention some teams and stuff, but were you put in touch with team bosses or team members, or was it just, did you have many options for where you could go racing on the mini challenge?
Yeah, again, the common kind of theme here, budget dependent for where we could go. We obviously chose to run with a Scottish based team in our first year. So the logistics at times were slightly easier. That's the route and team that we chose to go with for our big step up to that.
Yeah, and I guess with the team being based where they're based, it was almost the obvious call to make. Something we're just while we're talking about sort of Scotland and where you are and other people, this might be an awkward one because he might not do your work, but Joe Tanner, obviously he is the guy behind was like Ronan Designs crash helmet guy. He's based in Knock Hill. This could be awkward because I don't know the answer. Does Joe do your lid?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Every single one since I was in the go-kart. So
excellent. Yeah. I mean, just some words on him because he is a very talented chap, isn't he?
Yeah, certainly is. Certainly, he's always done a cracking job on my lids, and I'd love to be able to do something like that, but he's got patience of a saint compared to me.
Yeah. That's the bit where I'd fall down when it comes to art. I just can't be. It just takes too long. But some of the work he churns out is absolutely incredible, isn't it? I mean, some of the detail, including on yours. Yeah, good. I'm so glad you said that he did yours because I thought that could have been very embarrassing. Yeah. But no, I definitely need to have a chat with Joe. But so you've got the move into the minis. It's all sorted, or as sorted as it can be, and then obviously COVID hits. You've just come off a championship, you're moving up, you're on the Toka package. I mean, for the want of a better phrase, that must have felt like a bit of a kick in the teeth obviously there were much bigger problems in the world, of course, but you must have thought, oh, really? Not now.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. There was bigger problems going on in the world. And at one point we took a view that, of that, there's things more important in life than going racing. But actually, after we came out of all the lockdowns and stuff, it was probably racing that kept us going, if I'm honest, as a family and stuff. We had something to focus on, and we had because it's obviously an elite sport, we had a reduced calendar. So we had things to aim for and work towards, which was really, really good, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess in that time, I think we can all relate to that. We needed something to focus on because the world wasn't a happy place, and I mean, obviously, as you say, it's obviously frustrating, but there are bigger problems in the world. I mean, did it affect you on the sponsorship and the corporate side? I mean, I spoke with a certain very tall British touring car champion a couple of years ago, and he said that with his team, it was the corporate side that really stung them because they couldn't host people. The people that were putting up the money. There was nothing for them in return, and you had to just try and keep people engaged and involved and on your side. I mean, was that a challenge for you?
Yeah, 100%. It was a real setback because obviously the step up in budget was huge. So it was always going to be a tall order without something like a global lockdown happening. Again, in motorsport, it's not about a sticker on a car. It's rare to find someone invest in you to not really have to want anything in return. So on that front, I think it must have been Matt Neal, was it? A tall touring car
Yeah,
champion.
go on then, we'll name him.
On that front, I completely agree. The fact that you couldn't have any spectators, couldn't have any of your guests at the rounds. Obviously, we still had the live TV coverage. That was probably one of the only benefits at the time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he said, thank goodness that it was on TV, because if it was a like a non-televised series,
yeah,
then
would have been.
There's a lot of people would have been sunk.
Yeah, it would have been non-existent.
Yeah. We finally get the green light, if you pardon the pun, to go racing again. It must have been a huge relief. I mean, obviously you knew it was going to be a condensed season, it was going to be hectic and all that, but you must have been absolutely itching to get going.
I was. It was quite the baptism of fire, being honest. You had that excitement feeling, but also really apprehensive that, again, because of the pressure we were under financially, it being so difficult to raise the budget that was required. There was times I was obviously really excited, and times that I was always feeling kind of scared as well that that this might not happen. That was the reality of it.
Of course. I mean, that must have been terrifying. I mean, you've gone through, you put your heart and soul into it, and you put your hand in your pocket to do it, and then and it might just be, having the rug pulled out from underneath you, which is terrible. But happily that wasn't the case. And when you did get on track, it seemed as though you took to the Mini pretty quickly. I think a lot of the drivers were saying it's just, especially the Clio Cup guys and guys who've come up from Fiestas and the other various series, they said that it felt like a much stiffer car, a bit more lively. But you seem to take to it pretty quickly.
Yeah, again, baptism of fire. All the testing that we did was in wet weather. So the first time I was on slick tyres was at the first race weekend, for example, at Donington. So yeah, it was hugely difficult to get up to speed. But again, because obviously I learn and take things in pretty quickly, really mechanically minded and stuff, that all helped kind of get to grips with the Mini, which was substantially more difficult than anything that I'd ever driven.
Right. And I think having that mechanical mindset's a good thing. You need to know exactly what's going on and why, when you can feel it happening.
Yeah.
But I mean, across the season, you were generally inside or on the fringes of the top 10. You weren't hanging out the back, which is obviously good. And in a field such as the JCW grid, which is so congested, it's a big grid. There's lots of cars there. They're all very evenly matched. Yeah. Some people enjoy driving into others more than others do, should we say? So it must have given you a lot of confidence that you were in and around that top 10 in such a competitive grid. It must have been like another confidence boost for you.
Yeah, it did. It really did, to be able to cut your teeth in a championship that's filled with so many experienced drivers, returning champions at the time, so many exceptionally good teams and things like that. It was, really promising to be on the cusp of the top 10 all the time. That quickly became our aim after the first couple of rounds, once we did get to grips with it fully. That the top 10 is where we always wanted to be, and we got some podiums and things like that. So, it was really, really cool.
Yeah, you mentioned the podium there. The first one was at Silverstone, which is,
right. Yeah,
pretty cool place to get a first series podium. Obviously, it's the home of British motorsport. And I want to get your opinion on this, because some of the fans they don't tend to like Silverstone. I think that people like being right up close and pressed up against the fence and all that kind of thing, which is great. But Silverstone gets a bit of a bad press, but I've always liked it. It's great.
I love it as a
chair, nice and elevated. It's lovely.
Yeah, probably asking the wrong person, to be fair, because I love it from a driver's perspective, but I've never really been a spectator at that circuit often. But I would probably agree that it doesn't give you much of a vantage point for spectating on the national loop that we use.
Yeah, it's just that sort of on the home straight. But as a driver's circuit, I mean, it's changed a lot over the years, but it still looks absolutely fantastic, whether it's the national, the international, the Grand Prix, so whichever one it is. Is it one that you enjoy?
Oh yeah, I really begrudge when people say it's only 4 corners. It's not. There's way more to it than that. You can have a gulf between the field from pole position to the back of the grid And then you think, well, it's not just 4 corners then.
Yeah.
People make it sound easy, but I love it. It's extremely fast and flowing. It's one of my favourite places, actually.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. And that complex right at the end of the lap, the old, was it Luffield and Woodcut and all that? It's a fantastic bit of, it's a fantastic bit of circuit. Much better than he gets credit for. Big fan of Silverstone, probably because it was the first one I ever went to, I think. So anyway, but yeah, excellent place. 2021, you switched teams. And the fans were back. I guess that was the biggest thing from from the token package as a whole. It was good to have the fans back. Did it make a big difference to the atmosphere for the drivers on race day to have fans back being empty and echoed?
Yeah, you'd really notice it when you were leaving the pit lane for your green flag lap, for example, or even on your first out lap for qualifying. Just actually having fans on the other side of the fence was so cool, and that for me was something that I really look forward to. The likes of racing at my home circuit at Knockhill,
of course,
graduating up to it in 2020. Obviously, the circus and being part of the token package is what attracted us there in the first place. So to not have however many thousand spectators there, it was actually quite a shame. You really felt kind of lonely when you were racing.
Wow, and that's something that we as fans, we were like, we can't go. We've got to watch on the telly. We have to wait and all that kind of thing. But we didn't look at it from the driver's side. And for you guys who are used to having sort of people watching and having a bit of a buzz, I mean, I've spoken to guys who raced in the Indy 500 where there were no fans, where there's normally 350,000 people there, and they said they hated it.
Yeah.
So it was it was a brilliant race. But it's the fans that make it the event that it is.
Totally.
And I guess on a lesser scale, obviously on a national level, that's the same thing with the BTCC and the token package, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. The fans are what make it the spectacle that it is.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And because it's so accessible for everyone as well, you feel a bit more engaged from the outside of the fence. Again, were there any targets going into that year, or was it just a case of can we kick on from what we did in 2020? Because you had a good solid year, and it was a slight improvement, wasn't it, for 2021 in terms of points, championship position, things like that?
Yeah, it was a slight improvement, not enough, not what we wanted to achieve, but again, the fact that I was still moving forward, it still looks good. But from a personal point of view, I didn't achieve what I wanted to, which is fair to say. It was a pretty tough year, but yeah, it's again to make a step forward is always a really positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us up to 2022, which I've called your kind of breakout year. I mean, I said I was aware of you from the Clios, and I thought this lad keeps cropping up. He's pretty good. And I saw you in the minis for a couple of years, and 2022 felt like a real breakout year for you. Obviously, it helped that no disrespect to the other teams that you've raced with, of course, but moving to Accelerate with the rapid growth that they've had. Obviously, they've been the benchmark for the mini challenge for a while. Again, no disrespect to any others. And they've gone from running at the back of the British Touring Car Championship in 2018, 17, 18 to being front runners, 4-car team.
Exactly.
That must have been a huge shot in the arm. You must have thought, this 100%. This is going to be good.
Yeah, it was almost a case, I'm not afraid to say, of do I hang the helmet up or do I join Accelerate? It was one of those, being honest. It was
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to obviously leave the token package. It's where I've always wanted to stay. But I just knew that I had to join them.
I mean, how did it come about? I mean, because obviously we know there's budgets involved, and we're not going to name any figures or anything like that. But did it come about? Did you approach them? Did like Justina sort of sidle up to you in the pits one day and go, "Oi, Ronan"? Or how did it all come about?
No, not at all. Well, credit to Justina. It's something that they don't do as a team. They don't poach anybody, whether it's staff or drivers. It's very much drivers come to them. So I do like that as well. I approached them after what was a horrendous home round at Knockhill, and I wanted to achieve better and thought I can't have another home round like this, for example. So yeah, again, being honest, I still had a couple of race weekends left to go of 2021, and I'd already joined them. So it was hugely exciting. And actually, I did slightly improved the last couple of rounds of the year of that previous season. And I probably kind of had a bit more of a spring in my step because I knew that I was joining them as well.
I guess it improved the mindset, thinking, right, next year, we're sorted and we're and we're going to be good next year, and which is and the mental thing is such a huge part of it. Excuse me. So I mean, obviously very exciting. When you joined, was it like? I guess it's not an automatic thing that you join, or it could be. I don't know that you join the BTCC Young Driver sort of program. Was that part of? But was it part of you joining, or was that decided afterwards, or?
No, it was decided. Yeah, it was decided afterwards. Something that I wanted for me. That's what I wanted to be part of, because for a lot of years, my vision has been, was to become a touring car driver. So again, that was a huge pull for me joining Accelerate, with the fact that they run 4 Hyundais. So yeah, need to make sure that I pronounce that right. I guess years I've been watching all the TV adverts and stuff. It's not Hyundai, so that everybody knows, because people keep pronouncing it wrong to me. It's Hyundai.
Hyundai. There you go. You got to get it right. Well, I think there's an advert out, isn't there, at the moment for the cars, focusing on people getting it wrong.
So yeah, don't tell Siri that you're going to Hyundai, because it will find you the high and dry pub. It's Hyundai.
Which it's not a bad thing, but it's not where you want to be. So yeah, I mean, obviously, and you've obviously spent time with the BTCC sort of team, or that side of it. Obviously, without going into too much detail, what does that actually entail? Because it does say, you're going to spend time with the team and learn how they operate and things like that. What did that involve? Or as much as you can say.
It's a good question, an important piece to cover, because I think some people almost assume that it's just something that happens potentially when you join Accelerate or any other team that run programs like that. But it's not. For me, it was a huge thing to experience being at the likes of media day, pre-season test days, getting to obviously start relationships with the touring car team members as well. It was all vital stuff for me, which is now going to pay off. Standing at these test days with a headset on, listening to what the drivers say about the cars, because again, I'm so mechanically minded. It's such a huge part of obviously what I was doing in the Mini and what I will be doing in the Hyundai. So to get into grips with the cars is going to be not an easy process, but because I have had a bit of a kind of head start on that, I know the terminology that they use, because it's very, very different again from a Mini to a touring car.
And see, that's fascinating to me. All those little things, things you pick up from the drivers or from the crew, or and just how they talk about things, and sort of storing in the back of your mind what guys like Tom Ingram talk about. I mean, that's going to give you a huge jump start. You aren't getting into the car completely cold, as it were.
Exactly. I know how a lot of the guys operate, and funnily enough, I know who all of my team members and crew are this year on my car, my engineer and stuff. We've all worked together previously, so it's really, really cool. It's kind of gone full circle. It's like we're starting up our own boy band.
We'll have to work on some outfits.
Yeah.
That's one for media day. Interesting. But just to go back to last season, in the Mini, obviously it wasn't all touring cars. You had racing to do. Firstly, the car looked cool. I think I said that to you at Silverstone when I came and had a chat with you.
Yeah,
it was one of the coolest looking cars, and you obviously had some great sponsors on board. But I mean, again, no disrespect to the team you'd left. Did the car immediately feel better? Because the results were almost immediately better than they had been.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's the simplest way to answer your question. It was a big difference in a really positive way. I had to kind of learn a different style, learn how to drive the car a completely different way, if I'm honest.
It's always fascinating because people just say, "Oh, yeah, the cars are all the same, so it's just easy to
Yeah.
hop from one into the other." And it's just not the case, is it? I mean, it's
No.
sort of sold on being a very even grid and things like that, but there are huge differences. I mean, there's other drivers that I've spoken to that have said the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just the way the car's set up by individual teams and things. The win at Donington, that must have been great because I mean, because you didn't start on the on pole or anything like that. It was one that you really had to work for, wasn't it? That first series win.
Yeah, no, I did. Probably one of the best overtakes I'll ever make. Taking two people around the outside at turn one at Donington doesn't come very often. Obviously, they were both my teammates as well, so we were all nice and clean. But yeah, again, that win was something that I needed because it had been an incredibly tough winter, really, really tough. Some people know that at one point it wasn't looking likely that I was going to race again because of budgets and things like that. And we did have a really good pre-season testing program. Got to round one with really high hopes, and as a team we were all on the back foot a little bit. None of us qualified where we wanted to, and a lot of us kind of had our heads down a little bit. But we all pulled together and turned it around. It's how you bounce back from these things in this game. And yeah, as much as it was a reverse grid, I started third and won it by a country mile.
Yeah, I mean, and that was after a restart as well, behind the safety car and everything bunches up. Honestly,
Yeah.
when you're behind the safety car and are you thinking, oh, you're leading, don't mess this up? You think, do you get that kind of mindset of, oh, what if I miss a gear or something happens, or are you so focused
Yeah,
on what you're doing on
well,
the restart?
I just treat it myself. The mindset I have is that every lap's a qualifying lap. You've got a clear track in front of you, and as long as everything feels right, and you know that you've got the tools to do the job, then why can't you? It took me quite a few years to be that confident and actually, never look at the rearview mirror because probably for a few years in my early days of racing cars, I'd be driving around constantly looking in the mirror. But you can't afford to do that because you slow yourself down. And especially that, again, probably last year was a race the best I ever have. And yeah, you just have to keep your head down. And sometimes it probably can be influenced by who you've got behind you. If you've got a teammate, they're not going to do anything rash as well.
Sure.
So things like that do definitely help.
And I guess that helps with being in a front-running team as opposed to a team that's perhaps more like a midfield team, but you got yourself to the front. You think, oh, I've got these guys behind me, and it may give you the jitters.
Yeah.
But I just love that. Treat it as a qualifying lap. You're at the front because you've got the tools to be there. Fantastic. Yeah. And standing on the podium, top step, it's pretty good, isn't it?
It was huge. I was overcome with emotion. So many different things I felt. Again, I touched on how hard a winter it had been. There wasn't a dry eye around the podium between me and some of my family and team members. And what's so nice is the team feel like my family, like a home from home. So everybody was over the moon as well, which was lovely to see. But yeah, a big turning point for me that to have actually won a race on the TOCA package. That's probably the one time for me that I thought, right, I'm here. I can do this.
Yeah, it felt like you'd arrived almost, at the front end of things.
Definitely.
And you had a number of strong runs thereafter, but we've got to talk about Knott Hill, your home race. What a weekend! I mean, it was so good. I actually wrote an entire piece on it, which I think you saw.
Yeah,
There was some great racing. Everyone was talking about the BTCC, and Ash Sutton and Jake Hill were at the front having a real ding dong with each other, and it was great. But I was saying to people, "Did you see Ronan Pearson in the minis? Did you see it?"
Yeah, I think a lot of people did that.
Yeah, I mean, and with it being your home round, obviously, you said you had a disappointing round there in 2021. It couldn't have gone too much better in 2022, could it?
No, it really couldn't have. The fact that we came so close to doing a complete clean sweep was, I'd probably struggle to match it again. Being honest, and being realistic, it doesn't come that easy a lot of the time. So, yeah, it was just insane. Again, so many emotions felt, and with it being a home round, so like the year before, I probably let it affect me too much with the pressure and stuff, being honest.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, just a totally different mindset again ahead of that weekend.
I mean, I guess you were going there feeling pretty confident because it's Knock Hill. I mean, you've been there once or twice before.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I mean, did you think, right, we can have a really good weekend here? We got the car. I know the circuit. I know how it all goes. You had a different mindset.
Yeah.
I guess you approached it thinking, yeah, we can do really well here.
Yeah, 100%. If you don't turn up thinking that, you're already it's like a team starting a goal down in a football match. Again, all these things that I've learned as I've gone through probably the last 12 months, really. You've got to turn up knowing that you can do well. Some
Yeah.
people have mentioned it, they've got like bogey tracks and stuff, but at this level, you have to be able to do the job at any of the circuit you race at. So that's the attitude that I had, and yeah, I just wanted to put on a show. I love Knock Hill, and I said to my team before the weekend, give me a car that lands well off the curbs, it doesn't bounce around, and we'll have a really good weekend. And that's what happened.
Brilliant. I mean, and it was just so frustrating that the last race ended under a yellow flag because you were the second, weren't you? You were there, and
Yeah,
you must have thought, no.
yeah, we'd have won that.
I mean, just very quick about Knock Hill. You've been there loads of times. You talk about the bumps and the curbs and everything. All the photographers love Knock Hill. I've been there once, and it's fantastic. I don't know about you, but me as a fan, my favourite part of the circuit is that little chicane. You go down Dufford and Mount Scotsman and up the chicane. It doesn't matter which way Knock Hill runs. That always looked great fun.
It does. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I've only myself, funnily enough, I've only ever been round it clockwise,
Right.
which is the normal way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's a proper driver circuit. No room for error. It's not very forgiving if you do make a mistake. But yeah, again, if you've got a car that handles like you want it to, I could lap there all day long.
Brilliant. Doesn't sound like a bad day either. It's just when the British Superbike guys go there, that's what just mad. Absolutely mad.
There's not many things that baffle me, but the fact that what these guys do, it wouldn't be me. Put it that way.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's bloody terrifying watching on TV, let alone even being there or doing it. But it is a fantastic circuit. And as I said, I was up there. I popped in to see Duncan Vincent, because I've had a few chats with him, but he was busy. But hello, Duncan, if you see this. I saw you had a chat with him recently. We like Duncan, but it was so cold. It's always cold. I mean, I went to Media Day at Thruxton last year, and I was there in short sleeves. 4 days earlier, I had 5 layers on, and it wasn't enough at Knock Hill. It was so cold.
Yeah, we've got our own little weather climate going on up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just fast forward to the end of the year. We spoke at Silverstone. You had a podium there, and a few podiums there. Went really well.
Yeah,
on course for a win at Brands Hatch. Frustrating how it ended the season because it could have easily been a win there, couldn't it, at Brands?
Yeah,
And
again,
it would have been cut out, didn't it?
It would have been another win. Yeah, it was just a persistent misfire that obviously wouldn't go away. It was that bad. Just no acceleration at all. And yeah, sadly lost a 2-second lead. And that was it. But
yeah,
again, showed just what we could do. Obviously, we're now looking forward doing some huge things. So I don't tend to dwell on it, but it was a real tough moment. It's hard to keep a kind of lid on it when these things happen, but it's you just have to and just move on.
Yeah, it's all part of it, unfortunately. I've just seen a great comment about Knock Hill from like Marion Speed. Good evening, Marion. It says, even the sheep look depressed when the rain comes down sideways. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Been there. Right. Okay. The BTCC. I'm just aware of the time. BTCC. I think from everyone tuning in, everyone who watches this afterwards, huge congratulations on the step up. You must be absolutely buzzing.
I am. Yeah. Like I said
Yeah.
to you before we went live, it's the days like today. I almost can't contain my excitement. It's starting to feel real. The more things are ramping up, can't keep up with my emails at the moment. Just so much going on, and yeah, now it's actually sunk in.
Yeah, wow. I mean, and obviously with the great team around you. I mean, as you sort of touched on in some of your posts, it wasn't the plan for this year, was it? It's kind of been brought forward a year or so. Was
Yeah.
the initial plan to have another year in the minis and then look at it for 2024? Or
It was, yeah. That was our initial plan. We'd already announced that I was returning to the minis again to win the championship. That was what we'd set our sights on. But obviously, that changed rather drastically at the start of the year.
I mean, obviously, I know you can't sort of say much about the internal workings, and we've spoken with Justina, so we know a little bit. But how exactly did it come to be that you've gone from minis to the BTCC? Not overnight, obviously, but it
Yeah.
it kind of feels like it's come around pretty quickly. How was there just a discussion that was had regarding, was it like budgets and what could be brought and how it was going to work and stuff, or how did it all come about?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of that. That's the main kind of topic of conversation. But I knew that there was still a seat available, and I made it clear that I wanted that to be mine, basically. So
Brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah.
it all again accelerated rather quickly in the space of a week to where we are now.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, and excuse me. I saw a question actually come up, and it was something that we touched on just before we started. Just very quick, I'm going to have a quick scroll, see who it was who asked it. Do bear with me just a second. Something about the Hyundai, and I can't find it. Hang on, where are we? Come on. There we go. Diffan Evans. Hello, Diffan. Thank you for tuning in as always. It says, how much of the Hyundai have you driven so far, and what did you think of it? I'm going to pass that one over to you.
Yeah, so my preseason testing program hasn't started yet, so that's within the next couple of weeks. I will be out for the first time behind the wheel, but yeah, unfortunately, I can't answer that one yet.
Yeah, no problem at all. But I'm guessing you're anticipating it being another step up. I mean, almost like going into the mini, but sort of,
Yeah,
what's the word? Expanded, magnified, I guess.
yeah. It's a whole different world now. So much to get used to. It's nothing like the mini in any way, shape, or form. So it is obviously a large step up, but I just need to turn myself into a sponge again, like I did when I went from a Clio to a mini, and just absorb absolutely everything that I can.
Yeah, which I'm absolutely sure you'll do. And you've got the hybrid thing to factor in as well, and when to use it and all that, and how that works, which is
Yep.
going to be good. Well, let's have a quick look. What have we got here? Question. We mentioned earlier on about the Jack Sears Trophy. Obviously, that's a big ask, if you don't mind me saying. Nothing against you, but just because of the way the series is and the cars and everything.
Yeah.
Is that a target though?
Don't see why not. I don't see why not. It depends, obviously, how we're doing after round one, and how even after preseason testing, we'll know where we're at. But at the moment, there's obviously a lot of unknowns. But
Yeah,
I've got to keep an open mind. I don't tend to set myself expectations or make my expectations public. But yeah, the Jack Sears is definitely one. Whether it was the overall award or whether it's weekend to weekend, then I don't see why not.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, this, and as you say, it's almost like a sort of like suck it and see first weekend, see where you are, and then see where it can take you.
Yeah, absolutely. There's obviously, like you
Um,
touched on, a lot of rookies and stuff coming in, like me. So again, it almost makes that seem more of a realistic target as well.
yeah, absolutely. Excuse me, the tickle won't go. You've got three great teammates. Obviously, we spoke with Nick Halstead at the start. Excuse me, at the start of the year.
Yeah.
I know he's raring to go. Sorry, folks. Got a tickle in there. Apologies. Are you? And you've got Tom Chilton, who's been there, seen it, done it,
Yeah.
bought the t-shirt, and you've got Tom Ingram, who did something or other last year. You've got some great guys to learn from. You must be looking forward to working with those guys.
Yeah, no, you're right. I absolutely do. I'm in the best place, between Tom and Tom, obviously a reigning champion. It feels like he's been around for as long as Tom Chilton has been, actually.
Yeah,
I've always grown up watching Tom Ingram in a touring car, but yeah, to be able to feed off of both of them it really excites me, and two very different kind of driving styles, I believe, as well. So you kind of get both ends of the spectrum a little bit as well. So it'll be really interesting.
Yeah, it should be good. And obviously, Tom Chilton, has done the World Touring Cars and the electric and all that kind of stuff. So
Exactly.
wealth of experience. I just wish he wasn't so good looking. He made me look horrible on this. But no, obviously, fantastic team around you, and with the sponsors, you've got the sponsors of the team, and obviously like Hyundai and all the backing that comes with it. As you say, I mean, you're in a fantastic position.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick word though on that Justina. I mean, we spoke with Justina last year. What she has done with Accelerate Motorsport and with the team around her is nothing short of phenomenal in my book. To be from, was it 2019? I think it was. They were running the MGs with Sam Osborne and
Yeah, that's right.
And to go from there, no disrespect to what those guys were doing, to where they are now.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal, isn't it? It's
incredible. If you ever doubt yourself, think you can't do something, these are the types of stories that you need to look at, the types of people that you need to read into, because the Justina and the whole team, probably it rubs off on the rest of the team, what her and also husband Anthony's kind of approach and mindset is. Never give up. They're so excited about everything that they do, so motivated about everything. It certainly rubbed off on me from the minute that I met Justina. I knew that I was in the right place. She's an incredible business lady, and an even nicer person. She'd do anything for anybody. And I couldn't be prouder, but also more lucky to have a team owner like Justina.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And you mentioned, they're so passionate and enthusiastic about it, and that's half the battle, isn't it? I mean, you need that, and it just shines through with what she's.
Well, exactly. I mentioned it already, but they feel like family. If there's any results that don't go your way, or you've had bad luck or whatever, you can tell that they're just as gutted as you, and that's exactly what you want from any member of staff in a race team. You want them to feel the emotions that you do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just brilliant. I just love the whole atmosphere around the team, which obviously you're very aware of. I just want to touch on the future. Obviously, you're very happy where you are. I mean, we're not going to talk about, wishing things away. And you said that BTCC has been your goal. And I guess at some point you'd love to be the champion and all that kind of thing, of course. Is there anything, though, if you were to say to win the BTCC championship in the next, 6 years or something, is there anything that you'd like to sort of go on and try? Would you sort of, I don't know, Aussie supercars or GT racing or Le Mans or Formula One? Yeah. Why not? No.
But probably the only one. I very much have always wanted to become a Jason Plato, for example. That's what I want to do forever. But I'm a big fan of the V8 supercars. I've been up at crazy times in the mornings to follow some of their races live on the TV and stuff. It's the one series that I'd love to have a go in, but I'm very much a front-wheel drive specialist, believe it or not. I've never done anything in the rear-wheel drive car, and that's not set to change for a long time.
No, good. So hopefully, all being well, BTCC to stay for a long while. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Jono Apps, the Porsche Cup on the F1 circuit. Oh, that's we mentioned about Harry King. That's what he's doing at the moment. Oh, bonkers.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we've been here for an hour or so. I've got some fun questions and things that we always like to finish up with. I'm just going to go though to the comments and see, what some of the comments have been. Here we go. What does it feel like to be on the BTCC grid with the likes of Tom and Tom, we've done that. That's thank you for the question, though, Andy. That's excellent. What have we got here? How much have you driven? BTC main goal. Yes, good. If you could race in any of the championship other than the BTCC, what would you choose? I guess we've kind of covered that one. So that's good. Oh, this is a good one from Diffan. If when you're starting on the uphill bit at Knock Hill, how difficult is it to keep the car in the grid box and try not to move before the lights go out? That's a good question because that is a tough grid, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So in the touring car, we have a line lock. So we've got a button on the wheel, on the steering wheel, a couple other things that we can do as well, but mainly the button on the wheel will help you stay where you should be. Obviously, sometimes things go wrong. Parts of the car can fail, for example, or driver error. You could potentially creep and get caught for it. But yeah, all the drivers on the grid use the line lock.
Right. Wasn't aware of that. It's a good bit of info. We like that. Okay. Ben Perry. Good evening, Ben. He said, evening, all question for Ronan. Who is your BTCC or overall racing hero? That's a good question. That's always a good one.
It is a good one. Growing up, I used to really take a shine to Sebastian Loeb. Like everything he did, he used to touch so many different disciplines. You do a one-off weekend in a Porsche Carrera Cup car and win and stuff like that. And obviously, he was in World Touring Cars, so a form of touring car racing that obviously made me like him even more. But then also you've got likes of, which is probably quite surreal when I'm in that first driver's briefing. I'm not afraid to say that, racing against the likes of Colin Turkington. Growing up, he's always been an idol. Such a successful driver, but an all-round good guy and goes around his stuff the right way. That's what I've always kind of followed and wanted to be like. Yeah, and then we've also got.
I'm glad you said Colin because I'm the same. I've been watching him for years, and he might not be the most spectacular or anything like that, but he's just so professional in what he does.
Yeah,
so good, and as you say, he does it the right way.
Yeah, we've also got the likes of being teammates now with Tom Ingram. Obviously, his journey's been quite remarkable. Not too dissimilar to mine. Obviously, until he got to touring cars, he's quite something behind the wheel of a car. And again, an all-round incredible bloke. So I followed all these drivers for a long, long time. So to actually be rubbing shoulders with some of them is mega.
Yeah. Fantastic. Question earlier on from who is it from? What have we got? Mimi Lane. Hello, Mimi. Which is your favourite UK track and why? Oh, this could be controversial given your proximity to Knock Hill.
Oh, God. Can I give you 3 answers?
Of course you can. Of course you can.
It's really tough for me because I absolutely love Donington because I've always had such great success there. Obviously, Knock Hill's my home circuit. Go around there a lot as part of my day job. I just love the place. As soon as you go through the gates for an event, when we race there, it's just got such a special feel to it. I also love Snetterton, such a long track. You get a mix of everything. At one point, it was my most visited circuit, albeit 8 hours away from where I actually live. So yeah, a lot of places that I love. I touched on Rockingham. It's a real shame that we don't go there anymore. That used to be fantastic. So. Yeah, tough question and one that I always answer the same.
Happy days. That's fine. We like multiple answers. Another one from Diffan here. Just very quick. This is on the rules side of things. What do you think of the proposal that the tyre going over the edge of the curb or the white line will result in a penalty? Apparently, there's rumours that's going to happen. What do you think of that? The sort of using all the track thing?
I've tried not to read too much into it because unless it is actually going to happen, I'm not going to get hung up over it. But yeah, obviously, it's not my. I don't fully agree, but yeah,
no, agreed.
I'm not the one sat at that big table making a decision. So whatever they decide, I'll have to follow to make sure that I don't get track limits penalties.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm quite one for track limits. I don't agree with like going 3 car widths off the track. That's ridiculous. But if you're going to put a wheel on the curb, I mean, come on, that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. I saw something earlier on. I hope I pronounced this right. Is it Mark? Is it Mark Ribby or Ribby? I'm not sure. Apologies, Mark. He said top bloke driver Harvey Ribby or Ribby has had a day's tuition from you and says you're a top bloke. So there you go.
Yeah. He's racing with Accelerate this year in the mini challenge trophy in the Cooper category. So yeah, his second ever day in a Cooper was I was sat beside him. So thanks for that, Mark.
Yeah, fantastic. One to watch out for sure. Katie Eames, great question. This feels like one that Tom Ingram is going to answer as well. What's your go-to race day cheeky snack? If you've got to have a little snack before.
Ooh. I should answer that by saying it's like carrots and hummus or something, because we're all supposed to be athletes, but actually I like a good bit of dairy milk or something like that, just to keep the sugar levels up.
Yeah, good shout. I thought you were going to say like a Tunnock's tea cake or something.
Actually, no, sorry, take that back. I tell a lie. Jelly babies are my go-to. I've never not got a bag of jelly babies in my race bag.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's
on the checklist before I come to an event. Make sure I've got jelly babies.
Helmet, race suit, gloves, jelly babies.
Yeah. Although brilliant. I have to say, if there's any other jelly baby fans out there, right, you've got to watch because some packets, the jelly babies can be absolutely covered in sugar, and some are really, really dry. They've not got very much sugar. So I don't know why it's different, but they've got to have loads of sugar on them.
Scandalous. Yeah, they've got to be all covered in white powder. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to have people at Knock Hill dressed as jelly babies now.
Good.
Happy days. What have we got? Okay, very quick. Scroll down. I think that was all the ones. Oh, this is an interesting one. I'm not sure if you can answer it. Don't worry if you can't. Andy Hopley. Evening, Andy. Is it going to be the same style livery this year as Tom and Nick, or do you have something funky lined up? Obviously, don't worry if you can't answer that.
It's nothing funky. Well, what's already been revealed is funky, actually. But it's not. It's not going too drastically off course, if you like. If that's the best way to answer that.
No, that's absolutely fine. That's a very good answer. Yeah. Oh, it says that you'll now be inundated by fans bringing you jelly babies. Absolutely. Yes. You're going to need another race bag just for the jelly babies.
Perfect.
Happy days. Okay, very, very quickly. Favorite car you've ever raced?
Well, I'd have to say the Mini last year, because obviously once you get a car like that in a sweet spot and you start getting results and stuff, like I said, I could lap after lap of Knock Hill, for example. That's my favorite car. Driving the JCW Mini. Well, I say my favorite car to date anyway.
By far.
Yeah, I dare say it'll be the Hyundai, but the Mini is my favorite when you're grabbing that by the horns and on the knife edge. It's good fun.
Yeah, fantastic. Marion Speed, sponsorship from Bassett. I reckon that's it.
Awesome.
Contact them. Get
Great
the jelly
idea.
babies car.
Great idea.
Good. I'd love that. Thomas Parker, here we go. Ever thought of doing truck racing? My goodness, that's a question.
I haven't, because I stand and sometimes watch them and think, how the hell are they ever going to get that thing stopped? Absolute carnage.
Oh dear, that would be lively. Maybe further down the line. Okay. Okay, what we got here? One question from me. Actually, this is a good one. I always like this. Are there any? Obviously, we don't know how the grid's going to pan out and where you're going to be and where other people are going to be and blah blah blah. But in a perfect world, whether it be at the front or the middle or the back of the grid, is there any driver that you'd love to go door handle to door handle with? Just think, because I remember we spoke with a certain rock-related man who raced for Accelerate, and he said he was hoping that he was going to be able to go door to door with Jason Plato, and I think he did a couple of times. Is there anyone that you were thinking that would be cool?
To be fair, Jason would have been somebody I would have wanted to have done that against, but I'm a year too late. But that's a really good question and something I've not really thought about, because now that I am one of the 28 British touring car drivers, everyone's the same, in my opinion. You know, I've got I'm good mates with Rory Butcher, and he's helped me through all my junior days and stuff, and go to his house on his sim, run with him and stuff, and we even play badminton together sometimes. Like it's everyone's the same in my eyes.
I mean, you mentioned Rory. I mean, you just got to say a quick word on a couple of your countrymen who are in the. Obviously, we're all one happy United Kingdom, of course, but we've got your good self. We've got Rory, and we've got Flash, as far as we know, on the grid for next year. You've got some talented people up there, haven't you? We've got we've got like Jodie Sloss is up there, and I forgot her name. We've got like Logan Hanna and so many others races up there, Gordy Much and all that. I mean, there's a good crop coming through, isn't there, from Scotland?
Yeah, there absolutely is. For a small country, we do quite well. Put ourselves on the map at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's long history, Jim Clark, John Cletland, all these kinds of guys. Anthony Wee. No, excellent. It's really good to see. Right, final question. You've raced against a lot of very, very good drivers. I always ask this to everyone. I mean, in the minis, we've touched on a few of them, and in the Clear Cup and everything. Is there one driver that you've raced against who you've really kind of rated and thought that's going to be a tough one if I've got to go wheel to wheel with them? Is there anyone that sticks out in your mind?
Again, I think in the last year, you don't. I know I don't look at a starting grid and look at anybody's names and think, "Well, that's going to be a tall order."
Of course,
anyone can do a good job on the day or be consistently good. It's just another person in another car in my eyes, I would say. I really enjoyed being teammates last year with Jason Lockwood. We had such a good relationship. We were always pushing each other on within a tenth or two, one way or the other, whichever circuit we went to. So yeah, people like Jace was fantastic to be teammates with. But no, again, I stick to my answer on that. Everyone's the same.
Everyone's fair game. We love that. That's a great answer. Right. It's been an hour and 15 minutes or so. It's been absolutely terrific. We're going to draw a line under it there because obviously, you've got evenings to enjoy. But Ronan, thank you very, very much for coming on. I'm really glad that we got this sorted. We've had to move it around, which is absolutely fine. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on. It's been great hearing your sort of journey and your thoughts going into this year.
Yeah,
fantastic.
No, thank you as well, Rich. It's been good to catch up. I'm gagging on a cup of tea now.
Right, see, that's why I got mine first. But no, we'll let you go and have a cup of tea. And I'll be at media day, so I'll come and say hi.
Nice.
We'll have a quick chat and see how your first few runs have gone. But I think from everyone tuning in, for everyone watching this back, just wishing you all the very, very best of luck and huge congratulations again on getting into the BTCC for this year. It should be a great year.
Yeah, it really is going to be. So thank you all for tuning in, and some great questions as well. And yeah, eyes peeled for round 1 at Donington Park now.
Yeah, all eyes on you. We're gonna. Yeah, it's going to be great to watch. So wishing you all the very best of luck. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Very much appreciated. And we are back. If you've seen on the page, we are back on Wednesday with Fabrizio Giovanardi, which is going to be great. But for now, Ronan, thank you very, very much. All the very best again. And we'll see everyone very, very soon. Good night, all.
Nice. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, guys.